So hi, my name is Jason, and I would like to share with you tonight my little project on the visual rhetoric of a modern reality TV show, The Voice, as you can see here. And I intend to use this 6+ minute to share with you some initial findings that I have and also give you an overview of this project. A lot of media scholars have looked at reality TV show as a way to scrutinize racism, sexism, or even violence cultivation. But not much has been done to understand the visual features in this genre, and I think this project gives me an opportunity to add to the conversation in this area. But one may ask, why pick The Voice over The Idol or the such and such Got Talent programs? My rationale is simply because The Voice is currently the highest rated reality singing competition show in the US, as well as top rated shows in China and UK, which all these three versions I've chosen to look at for this project. In terms of methods, I've decided to focus on the visual composition, specifically on set and stage design, camera work, and also the screen graphics across these three productions using a method that we've learned in this class, that is content analysis. And to ensure consistency across my data and finding, I've decided to only pick visual data from the finale episodes of all these three shows, and judging only the screen composition and graphics during a singer's performance in these finale episodes. The research questions that I have that guides this project are the following two. The first is that, what are some prominent visual features that I can find across these three shows, these three countries, and how are they the same or different? And the second question is, what are some noticeable patterns of the use of visual rhetoric across these three shows, which I can possibly trace back to their respective cultural logics? The first, I've looked at stage and set design, which I focus on stage layout, lighting, and props. And there are three major observations here. One is that China has the largest stage. Second, all three shows have used lighting to frame their performer as the center of attention during their performances. And lastly, UK has the least busy, I'll call the least busy stage compared to the US and China. The US has like a live band going on with the performer, while the Chinese version has printed the brand sponsor's name on both sides of the stage in bright yellow color. The second element that I've looked at here, it's camera work. And I focus on the camera shots, the type of shots, transitions, and also the camera focus in these shows. Again, three major observations. First is that cut was the most commonly used transitions across all three shows, followed by fade. And the UK has done a lot of focus close-up shots as compared to US and China. And China, on the other hand, has done a lot of the shift of camera focus to give us a view of the judge's reaction or the live audience as well as the band during a Chinese performance, which I thought is interesting. The last element that I've checked out here are screen graphics, namely what goes on your TV screen during a performance. And there are two observations here. First is that the UK version of the show is pretty minimal. It doesn't have a lot of gimmicks or visual going on, whereas the Chinese, as you can see here, is pretty busy. It has textual and visual elements, even song lyrics during a singer's performance, which I thought is pretty distracting. Now, for the past 6 slides, I've used to try to answer the first question, that is, what are these prominent features that I can find? The next 6 slides, I attempt to answer the second question, which has to do with the cultural logics. I find that red and white lightings were used prominently across all three shows, but blue lightings were only used or mainly used in the US and UK version. At first, I thought it has to do with the song selection. Usually, blue lights are used to dim down the situation during slow, mellow songs. But the Chinese version also have slow and mellow songs. So I figured that it must be a different sort of appeal that is going on there. And I argue that it has to be with national identification, which is the use of these colors to appeal to audiences in the different or respective countries here. The next element here I've talked about is the use of close-up shots, and I mentioned that UK have used a lot of them, actually followed by US and then China. I think this is a way for the producer or the show to engage explicitly with the audience, what Kress and Valuan would call the notion of offer and demand. But because there are different practices between the Eastern and Western cultures, when it comes to direct contact, or we're talking about eye contact here, I think this is why, or it explains why the Chinese version of the show has less in-your-face close-up shots, because that's not what's the norm in their culture, versus the UK and US version, which is the Western culture. Finally, according to Kress and Van Leeuwen, the camera angle does play a role in affecting the viewer's engagement or detachment from the image object. And judging from the shift of the camera to feature the judges, the live audience, or the band during a singer's performance, I argue that it is a way to sort of create an illusion for the home viewer that they are there with the performer, or that what they see is the actual portrayal of the show. But for this section, I have yet to find a cultural reference or identification for this sort of camera work here. But anyway, I would like to point out that my studies does have limitations. That is the lack of a narrow selection of sample due to my lack of access to the complete series of these shows, and also the lack of theoretical framework and methodology to doing this kind of study. But I think it does provide a springboard for future study, as well as practical implications for filmmakers, editors, and producers to make them think more critically about their cultural values and practices, and how they get woven into the design and production process, and how it affects viewer engagement with reality TV show. Thank you.